What is the scariest/creepiest theory you know about? Okay, this one is rough, so please bear with me. So the common time travel question is, would you go back and kill baby Hitler? Well, imagine if that was you. To us in the current timeline, you would be a hero that killed someone truly evil before they had chance to corrupt or endanger anyone, but to the people of that time you are a monster. A baby killer. They couldn't exactly explain to people. I was sent from the future to kill this baby to save hundreds of millions of lives. No one would believe him and would just assume he was some nutcase. Or maybe they're not allowed to tell anyone as per the agreement with the future government. It makes you wonder all the people through time that have been called monsters for killing babies. What if they were just heroes from the future saving us all? They couldn't tell anyone either? I need to go to sleep, but I can't put my phone away because of this thread. I find number stations to be pretty creepy. Their purpose is technically a theory, as the groups that broadcast them won't officially confirm even their existence for the most part. Essentially, spying is still a very real thing for most world governments. One of the most foolproof ways of delivering a coded message is through a one-time code, a code used just once before being discarded. Your spy has the key. You have the message. And once the key is used, it is discarded and the next message is sent using a different key. Additionally, shortwave radio is an extremely secure way of sending these messages. It sounds weird that a radio station anyone with a shortwave radio can listen to would be considered secure. But the beauty of the method is that shortwave radios are ubiquitous. Cheap technology throughout most of the world. What looks more suspicious, a person traveling with a radio, or a person traveling with a sophisticated computer or satellite phone? While the signal can be received by anyone, it leaves no record of who received it and can't be intercepted and traced by a middleman. They don't care if you listen, because the stream of numbers is nothing without the code. And because you're using a one-time code, it can't be cracked as it's randomly generated and used once. The only time a one-time code has ever been broken was an instance where the code was reused. So your spy just tunes into the radio at a specific time on a specific day, writes down the numbers, decodes the message, discards the key, and no one is any the wiser. Most stations are identified by a call sign or little jingle, and these can range from kind of cute and cheerful to pretty eerie sounding. If you listen infrequently, you'll hear messages repeated over and over until one day they change up. It's believed they'll repeat the message until their spy can communicate they've received it. Essentially, if you have a shortwave radio, you can listen in on highly secret spy communications from countries all over the world. You can also listen in on countries jamming the communication, either by broadcasting state radio on the same signal, or trying to jam it with noise or static. You'd think the frequency of these transmissions would have gone down after the Cold War, but they're still going strong. The very first numbers stations appeared in the very early days of radio, during World War I. I find it fascinating, but also super creepy, that all of this secret communication is happening right out in the open, for us to tune into at any time, without any way of knowing who it is intended for or what is being transmitted. If the human body senses trauma it is unable to combat, it will switch off metabolism, pump endorphins, and slip into a pain-free dissociative state. In essence, shutting down. It's been seen in air crashes and lots of places really. Basically your body can switch itself off. Don't some prey animals do this when they are caught? That's why they seem so unfazed about being eaten. I'm sure I've read something about rabbits not being likely to survive an encounter with a predator even if they escape cause their body is just pumped with so much speed they have a heart attack anyway. It was on Reddit somewhere I saw it, so who knows how legit it is. As someone that has pet rabbits, Not stressing them out if they're not feeling well is a legitimate concern for exactly this reason. It's such a delicate line between deciding if the stress of an urgent care visit is worth it or more detrimental. My dog killed my bunny without even touching it. Got in his room one day and the cage was still closed, but it was laying there. I imagine it barked at it and just set its little heart off. Undefined. During the Challenger accident from 1986. Whenever the shuttle exploded, the ground crews had the astronauts' EKGs and vital the explosion. The astronauts were still alive. Theory has it that they were cognizant the entire time until they crashed in the ocean. This is what actually happened. NASA never wanted to admit that the astronauts didn't die in the explosion. But there is a major probability that they were not conscious when they crashed into the ocean. Didn't they also say that by the time they recovered them, the bodies were basically liquefied in the suits from all the exterior factors in the ocean? The initial impact, with the forces involved, may have been sufficient in itself. It's like being hit by a speeding train. Bam. Done. And every cell in your body shatters. If you die by being beheaded, the last thing you might see is your decapitated body. Time for me to go to bed. If you die by going to bed, the last thing you could see is the inside of your eyelids. The dark forest theory. This explains the Fermi paradox. Why we haven't seen any other advanced life forms despite the vastness of the universe. Other advanced life forms don't send out signals into the rest of the universe because they're worried that something more advanced and dangerous is going to find them first. There's another idea that other civilizations know there's something out there but don't send any signals because it has no reason to not wipe out the entire planet. There's a science fiction book based on this, and I think this quote explains it better than I can. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful, because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds another life, another hunter, angel, or a demon, a delicate infant to tottering old man, a fairy or demigod, there's only one thing he can do: open fire and eliminate them. Our dumb ass sent out a golden recording of Johnny B. Good blasting through space. Cosmology can be disturbing. For instance, I recently learned of dead-end trips. There are some destinations that you shouldn't try for. It's possible to travel so far away from where you started that the expansion of the universe will exceed the speed you were traveling at. You can't return home, because home is receding faster than you can travel. You can't reach your destination, because it too is receding faster than you can travel. You can no longer get anywhere, only get further away from everything. You cannot reach any destination, even if you travel forever. Yes. This is because the universe is constantly expanding. And galaxies, neighborhoods, clusters, etc., are gravity bound. They stick together in distant clumps while other clumps move away. It's kind of like people in cars on a highway. You will remain a constant difference from however many people are in your car, or on your motorcycle, or in your school bus. But you will get further and further away from other vehicles. This means that if you are within a pocket that's bound by gravity, you'll always be an equal distance from everything else. But if you fall out of that car, you're not getting back in it. And you're almost certainly never getting into any other car either. This reminds me of those dreams when you're trying to run but you can only move slowly. Beeping have these constantly. Drives me insane. The Vila Incident. September 1979. A US Vela satellite detected a double flash of light over an area of the ocean between South Africa and Antarctica. The prior 41 double flashes observed by the satellite were from nuclear explosions, as this is what they were designed to observe. There also happened to be a typhoon happening in the area at the time, so it seemed like someone wanted to detonate it without being caught. Carter administration reported that it was a natural occurrence due to a small meteorite hitting the satellite. However, many other independent sources and even other countries have reported that they did indeed find traces of fallout and radiation. Because of the geopolitical climate of the times, there's very strong evidence that it was in fact a joint nuclear weapon test carried out by South Africa and Israel. And the US scrubbed the information regarding it because they didn't want to paint their allies in Israel in a bad light for working with apartheid-era South Africa. Strangely enough, Israel and South Africa have never denied having nuclear weapons programs. Nor have they ever denied a joint test being responsible for the Vela incident. That humans almost went extinct. 70,000 years ago a volcano in Indonesia erupted. There's theories that we have a genetic bottleneck around that time. Took our population down to 10,000-3,000, like the size of one small town. Lots of fresh genetic material died with those who were lost, and the resulting inbreeding could have resulted in some genetic diseases that have made their way into humans today. Without this event, we may have advanced faster and be healthier people today. Undefined. Edit 2. Thank you for the awards. When I went to sleep this had 5 upvotes and now it's 10k. I'm glad that so many people found this interesting. I'd like to clarify that this is a theory. A hypothesis supported by a collection of facts. The theory is not fact and truth in itself. So don't take it that way. I have gotten a lot of messages where people think that I'm spreading falsehoods about this, and I want to address that there is counter evidence against the volcano causing a genetic bottleneck. There is still evidence of the genetic bottleneck and the recent and abrupt diversification of humanity. Most of the research that I've seen on this comes from 2000. It's been 20 years, so there has been lots of work done on this very topic in the time since. The point is, don't take it as fact. The thread asked for scary theories and I provided a scary theory. Not fact. For more information and supporting evidence that human beings diversified recently, we can look at stories like Cheddar Man, a dark-skinned, blue-eyed man that lived around 10,000 years ago in England. I have also been getting a lot of questions about if we have genetically improved as a species from this. The short answer is I don't know, and I don't think anyone does. I think it's unlikely, as I've never heard of a population bottleneck going well. Pain does not equal gain, and survival of the fittest hasn't really applied to people for a long time and for a variety of reasons. We tend to protect others that are weak because those that are different have still purpose and use to the community. We care about each other and want to see everyone succeed. This line of thinking that we must have become stronger from such a critical state seems far too close to eugenics. A lot of comments bringing up the Fermi paradox to explain the lack of evidence of extraterrestrial life, when by all accounts we should be seeing alien life all over the universe. Here's another unsettling explanation. If you're scuba diving above a coral reef, and you know that there should be fish all around you, but you don't see any, it's most likely that they have learned that for some reason it's important not to be seen. And since you're a newcomer to this environment, chances are it's not you they're hiding from. Undefined. This is one I had a couple days ago watching this video about Carl Sagan explaining the fourth dimension. The gist is if we all existed in 2 dimensions we could only see or record events that happen in 2 dimensions. So if there were things in the 4th dimension we could never see or even imagine them. Imagine a 4th direction to move in. Carl Sagan explains it beautifully as if we were on a piece of paper. We could only see the cross-section of anything that passes through our world. Not theory but fact. The average terminal velocity of a kindergartner is 60 miles per hour. The scary part is how they found it out. The same way they found out a chimp has the strength of 3 grown men. Keep throwing grown men at chimps till they even out. That you might be aware of everything happening to you during surgery. The anesthesia keeps you from moving and causes you to forget. Yeah, before my wisdom teeth removal, the nurse told me that patients can still partially respond to the commands of the doctor while under anesthesia. They just don't remember this afterward. When I went under, I didn't even remember falling asleep. The theory that scented candles starting getting poor reviews at the same time COVID hit the US. Makes you wonder how many people have mild COVID before we even knew about it. Pairing the lack of taste and or smell as one of the main symptoms associated with mild COVID cases. Are you saying that Gwyneth Paltrow caused COVID? The one that bugs me was the one about the guy who was last seen in an airport. There's video of him just wicking the beep out and running away at full speed. They linked the surveillance footage and you can see him run all the way off the premises. He was never seen again. There's lots of theories about what happened. None I want to look too far into. Bulgaria, wasn't it? Completely freaked out and ran through the front door into the woodlands. I saw a video about the theory of grey goop, in which one day we invent micro-robots used to break down waste, but could somehow evolve to consume all carbon-based organic matter. This would eventually lead to them consuming all life on Earth. I was mildly freaked out by the idea of it. It'd be the most horrifying means of extinction. Didn't Futurama have this sort of happen with Bender cloning himself down so many times into microscopic size? It's scary that there are thousands of serial killers out there at any one given time who often just blend in with the rest of society and live normal lives. Many will never be caught. The comment: criminals are so stupid. No. Criminals who get caught are stupid and we can't catch the smart ones. When you look at serial killers, what's chilling is when you realize that many of them who are caught often want to be caught. Or go for decades before finally ending up getting caught. And those are just the ones who do get caught. Someone who really just wanted to go around killing. And who was organized and rational. You'd never find them. Basically, heat exchange theory. That one day all of the heat we use in order to create energy will be expended and the universe will be stuck in a heat lock. I came into this thread unafraid of death. I'm leaving petrified, thanks. That mind control actually exists. It's something that would never go public because whoever was able to perfect it first would be in the position to use it on whoever is aware of its existence. The great power of social media is they discovered they didn't have to control anyone's mind. They just put people in a bubble of misinformation until they make their own mind up. Philosophical zombies. Theory that a good portion of the human race lack conscious experience. If you've ever dissociated or done something and don't recall, driven home but have no recollection. Your brain acting on autopilot, that's what they are like. They do everything required to be human. They ape emotions. Go through life. They just lack sentience. I've been told that there are people who have no inner monologue with themselves. But I don't know if I believe it. Would they just act on impulse? More of a story than a theory. But it correlates to some of these and makes me think some could be real. When I was younger, I had this little stuffed animal dog I named Rocky. One night, my younger sisters and I, who all slept in the same room so we could hang out together, were messing around. And I two-handed overhead tossed Rocky into the wall directly in front of my bed. He hit the wall, slid down behind whatever was in front of my bed, and was never seen again. I immediately went to go get him and he just wasn't anywhere. We tore the whole entire small room apart. We all saw the event occur. Over time the room has been completely emptied out. Everything in it rearranged. Walls painted. Everything, and no Rocky. He just completely phased out of existence. Makes me think he glitched out of the system or something. That we have so little data about the deep dark parts of the ocean and don't truly know what lurks there. Detecting multiple Leviathan-class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it? Spontaneous combustion. I watched a strange but true episode about this as a child and was convinced I'd randomly burst into flames one day. I'm over it now, but that was my top fear for a long time. I've looked into it. Nearly every case happened while the person was drinking and smoking at the same time. Which kind of explains it? I'm in a nursing home with dementia in 2060. And all I'm doing is reliving this moment of November 2020. Yeah, mental collapse is a big thanks, but no thanks from me. Sometimes I'll encounter random strangers that I get a strange vibe from. Like they're noticing me more. It's made me think. What if there are time-traveling tourists just walking around? And I'm someone important and they want to meet me before I do whatever it is I'm going to do? This is great, haha. That the universe is infinite and there could be billions of other living organisms that all know about us and have significantly better technology and could wipe us out at any moment but choose to leave us be because they know that we don't know about them. Kinda like some indigenous tribes that live secluded and don't know that we are this civilized and technologically advanced. Or what if we are the ancient progenitor race and all the other planets are inhabited by bacteria and whatever the alien equivalent of centipedes and frogs are? There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Douglas Adams. I'm not sure if that theory is connected to the one which talks about the apocalypse happening when someone calls God by his real name. Sometime in the future, if we don't disappear before, humans will probably be able to bioengineer themselves to avoid death by old age. Most probably only the richest people would get this. Founding an immortal elite of dynasties that will be able to rule nations by themselves, while common people simply keep dying as always. Now almost everyone think of death as something normal and inevitable, as part of our nature. But then, in that hypothetical future, death will be seen like a disease which cure it's kept away from common people by that ruling elite. The theory that we're all quantum immortals and when someone dies in our reality for them they just keep on going in a reality where they didn't. This is very true. The theory basically says that all the parallel forms of ourselves are basically one infinite lifetime playing simultaneously, and every time we survive a bare death experience, we actually continue in another lifetime. This is pretty cliche, but the theory that your whole known life you've been in a coma and have imagined everything. Your family isn't really your family and everyone and everything doesn't actually exist. Then when you wake up you'll have to live through life all over again with connections you've made to fake people. That we can sense when someone is watching us. So when we're alone and we get that feeling, someone is probably watching you. This could be a trigger warning for people creeped by ominous ambience and erratic actors. Also a pretty creepy dialogue that gives me chills. There was a call into Bell Radio in the late 90s by a frantic guy claiming to be an ex-Area 51 employee. He seemed worried, claiming he didn't have much time and that aliens were interdimensional beings infiltrating all manner of human civilization. Tool took the recorded audio and put it on one of their albums with some slight changes, including an added ambient audio track, and just made it all that much more creepy. The top link is Tool's edit. There's about 30 seconds of missing audio in the original recording, and a bit of a while later the guy called back in claiming it was a hoax. Here's a full descriptive video including all audio. Spooky stuff happens in nowhere. Undefined. I had a professor in college who taught physics, and he explained why we will likely never come across aliens. The universe is about 14 billion years old. Over the course of that time, it's likely that intelligent life, besides life on Earth, has existed. However, 14 billion years is an insanely long time. Other life forms have probably risen and fallen thousands of times over. Extreme dynasties with technology we can only dream of having have probably existed. Life forms could have lasted hundreds of thousands of years and still not even be close to our timeline. The chances of other intelligent life forms existing at the same time as humans, in the 14 billion years the universe has hosted a possibility for life, is really unlikely. Statistically, intelligent life to have formed, prospered, or even existed at the same time as humans is extremely small, simply due to the absolute drop in a bucket that we are on terms of time. We may very well be completely alone in the universe. I like that this thread is filled with nightmarish death/alien/apocalypse/universe ending scenarios, but the top post is about someone's mother-in-law coming to live with them. May or not be a theory, but the first thing I thought of was that feeling you get when you're on top of a building and think, what if I jumped? Or when you're driving and think, what if I just swerve into traffic? Well, it's actually got a name. L'appel du vide. French for the call of the void. I always thought the idea of some ethereal presence calling you towards darkness. Creepy. Undefined. Some people have had some strange NDEs, near-death experiences. Going through websites cataloging them can be a trip. I'm willing to attribute some of them to brain damage and some as legit, though I'll never be able to tell which is which. Deathbed visions give me a warmer sense of security. I can't imagine how peaceful it must be to die and see your deceased loved ones there to ensure you make it safely to the other side. I had a NDE nearly drowning, and there is absolute terror whilst you're actively fighting it, but as I drifted into unconsciousness I had the clearest memory of being a toddler in the swimming pool being held by my mother. It was this feeling of warmth despite being in the sea off Norway, and complete security in her arms. Obviously I'd hate to do it again because, holy speep, the conscious terror whilst you're aware of what's happening is insane. But as I drifted off it was genuinely so peaceful. I can't even describe it. I just had no concerns. I'm a nurse now and was redeployed to a COVID field hospital where I've seen more people die than ever before, and I've been so glad of my experience because I don't think I could deal with the idea that it's a horrible experience. I've been surrounding everyone with pictures of family and familiar sounds and like trying to get their loved ones on the phone to talk to them as they slip away, cause I just desperately hope that this is actually a widespread phenomenon, that everybody gets to revisit the things that bring them comfort as they go, and hopefully we can provide stimuli that push them towards accessing those good memories and emotions. Gone from my sight. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until, at length, she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and sky come to mingle with each other. Then, someone at my side says, "There. She is gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She is just as large in mast, hull and spar as she was when she left my side. And She is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at the moment when someone says, "There," she is gone. There are other eyes watching her coming. And other voices ready to take up the glad shout. Here she comes. And that is Dying. By Rev. Luther F. Beecher. More of a philosophical idea rather than a theory. But solipsism. The idea that you are the only one that is real and that exists in this world. Everyone else and everything else is fake or is an illusion. Undefined. Edit 2. So many people are saying they thought of this as a child. I did too. What if? What if we all thought this because we had a reason to? What if our first instincts were right? But adulthood washed it away? 0. Nah, I'm kidding. Or am I? Our world is our perception of our surroundings in our three-dimensional life. It's possible that we are living amongst beings, things and events that we cannot experience because we are three dimensions and they are not. Undefined. Think big. Dream bigger. The Gaian bottleneck theory. Basically, the reason we've never encountered or been contacted by aliens is because they're all dead. Every alien species that evolved to form advanced societies eventually outgrew their planet and destroyed themselves. Like we are. That everyone you know who's dead is watching you now 24/7. Even as you jerk off. And when you die they all come to greet you. The universe could be dying. And we'd have no way to know until we just suddenly vanish from existence. There could be a sort of quantum energy wave. Can't remember what it's called because it's been so long since I read about it. 0-point collapse. Maybe. Vacuum bubble burst. But whatever it is, it's an energy wave that starts at some point and spreads outward at the speed of light, annihilating any matter, energy, and even space-time in its path. Because the wave travels at the speed of light, it is invisible. We would have no way of seeing it coming. Because any light emitted by it would hit us at the exact same time that the wave itself hits us. So, all of a sudden, the sun might just vanish from existence. We wouldn't notice because the sun's light from 8 minutes ago would still be reaching us. 8 minutes later, the earth just vanishes from existence. No warning. No trace.